Hello, and welcome to our webinar series, Nourishing the Body Emotions for the Cooler Months. And no doubt today, if you're looking outside the window, you can certainly see that autumn has arrived. So autumn isn't just a season, it's a transition phase. So I'm Deb, the founder of Soul Roots Therapy, and today I'm going to explore how some small intentional changes can help our bodies um, physically and emotionally and allow it to flow through the seasons, specifically between autumn and in preparation for winter. And we're going to look at nutrition, lifestyle adjustments, essential oils, and emotional tools, and everything all for the seasonal wellness. So, a little bit about me. My name's Deb, and I am the founder of Soul Roots Therapy. For those that haven't come across my page before, perhaps this is the first time. I'm very passionate about helping people connect with their body as a whole, physically, emotionally, and particularly around energy. Even science at the moment, they're finally recognizing that, what happens within the cell, what happens with energy is very integral to our well-being. And so I'm wanting to support people so that they can move with balance, resilience, and more self-awareness. And I've done many a thing so that I can support people with a whole body lens. So everything from essential oil education, natural perfumery. I'm also a certified psych nutrition coach, and I'm a somatic and root cause therapist here in Australia, as well as a functional meditation instructor. So this is why I'm very passionate about transitions. Transitions for me is a little bit of about what I do at Soul Roots, is helping people integrate and give them the tools to support them through different changes, particularly women. So I'm just going to, as a way of introduction, have a little bit of a disclaimer. I always do this whenever I do any series. So just a reminder that the content shared in this webinar and the workbook which you'll receive and any other related materials is for educational and information purposes. It's not to be a substitute for professional or medical advice. I really need to say this. And we don't diagnose. And if you do have a diagnosis or under any treatment, always consult a qualified healthcare provider before making any changes to your diet, exercise, supplements, and the use of essential oils if you're unsure, or wellness routines. And remember that each of us are individual. We have different needs, and Soul Roots cannot be held responsible for any outcomes resulting from the application of this information. And really, we need to be more intuitive. And if we do have medical underlying issues, we do need to take that into consideration as well. So, just to give you a bit of understanding of all the different things we're going to just break down into bite-sized pieces. Autumn is not just a season, it's a transition phase. Understanding seasonal transitions, and this is in relation to ancient and tribal living, foundational nutrition for autumn, supplements and support tools, because integration work and tools are essential, adjusted movement and workload, and my favorite subjects, emotional and nervous system preparation and emotional and somatic support. So autumn is not just a season, it's a transition phase. And I keep saying this over and over again, but I'm saying it because it means something. It's something that we, as Westerners particularly, we don't observe and we don't notice. We just go through almost like on autopilot. And what we do within this phase, in the transition phase, can really impact how we experience winter. It can impact our immune and how it adapts and its resilience, and it really can help us emotionally as well, our capacity, and we can know and be more attuned to the energy that we have, our active states and our rest states and our mood. So it's not about prevention. It's more about prevention. It's not about reaction. And so often we kind of do things at the latter stage. And here at Soul Roots, our primary goal is with any client that we see is we want to meet them in that phase of setting them up into prevention and proactivity, and the less invasive way that we can support, allowing the body to do what it is designed to do. So, just having a little bit of a reflection now and a bit of a pause and just noticing, have you noticed before in other years if there had been any changes within your body, or were there some adjustments that you really noticed happen between going from autumn to winter, and felt a little bit, that you weren't fully prepared for? So, understanding more why and how the the seasonal transitions impact us. If you think of summer, you're thinking of outdoors, you're thinking of a lot of sports are played, whether it's water sports or active sports. We're in that sun, we're getting that vitamin D, which is essential. We tend to be more energized and expansive. But as we go into autumn, and I don't know if you can slightly hear the sound, it's really pouring behind me. It's probably the first really decent pour of the season, and it's almost like, you just want to be indoors, inward, and we're slowing down and we're grounding, and where the body physically, you may notice it's the immune system. It's starting to adjust, because before, because we had some activity, exercise really supports the immune system, and we might have had more sun exposure. Our energy overall was helping that immune system, where now we're getting a little bit sluggish, and where our immune system has to adjust. And this is where sometimes people get really unwell between seasons, is because they haven't actually prepared the body for that adjustment. So, it impacts the digestion. So now that slows down. So we've got to look at what foods now that we are partaking that possibly were different from before. And we're wanting to conserve energy. Like, the body innately knows through external, because don't forget, our skin is an organ and it's sensing all the time, and it's noticing the changes even if we're not consciously aware of it, and it's already going, we need to start conserving. And maybe because our conscious mind hasn't caught up, we're not realizing why the body's starting to become more slower, and we're not kind of like being coherent in that, like the body, what the body's trying to do and what our mind's trying to do. So emotionally and energetically, the nervous system seeks for safety and stability, and we naturally start feeling like we're wanting to pull towards rest and reflection. And these shifts are normal. So small adjustments we can make in this period of time will help our body move gracefully into winter, supporting both resilience and well-being. And to kind of look at this, I thought it was really important we step back. We are living as Westerners. We are very much influenced by Western customs, and it's really fascinating to see through time, across even other cultures and history, what autumn has been for them, and it has been a transition, reflection, and preparation time. And many ancient tribal societies observed the natural cycles and align their practices with season energies. And I've only recently learned that our calendar months don't go really necessarily along the line with seasons. We kind of stick to this structured routine. This happens then, but in other cultures and other countries over east, they're very much, their calendar is influenced by when the season changes. And as we know, with climate changes and how our environment is changing somewhat, those seasons tend to be not kind of matching up as much. Keep losing my ear. Sorry about that. So what they did in that time is there was a consensus across different cultures, different nationalities, different tribes that they did less. They ate warmer type foods. They gathered more together, and they paid attention to their body to notice. So there was an adjustment. They changed the daily rhythms. They really used fire and warmth. Even in some of their customs, especially in the tribal, where the introduction of celebration towards fire came into play. So, for example, if we look at our own Indigenous Australian cultures, they shifted in weather and used time to gather food, prepare shelters, and slow down activities. So, where Native Americans had harvest festivals and they used abundance of the season to stock up and preserve and honor the cycles. And if we go towards East Asia, they were associated with the metal element, and this emphasizes letting go. And that one thing, letting go, has been a lot in a lot of different cultures, where it's a time where we're shedding, we're letting go of what we don't need anymore, and preparing the body and mind for those cooler months. Because if we're carrying around the load and the burdens into the winter, can you imagine, can our emotional cup, if it's full, be able to sustain and keep that immune in check? And so then if we go, they kind of, especially with the Asian cultures, they looked at foods, teas, and gentle movements to support digestion and lung health. And then if we go over to Europe, they had rituals, harvest, using herbs, fermented foods, and oils to support the body to ward off the challenges. So, across all of these cultures, there's a common theme that it's time to slow down, ground, reflect, and prepare. And I thought I have to bring this in to show that we're wanting to do what is more intuitive, what is more natural, and what the seasons call us to do. These customs, these rituals, they weren't for just appearance only. They understood in their organic way what the body, kind of needed. So if we start first with the foundations, and we're looking at nutrition for autumn, we can clearly see, and the one thing I haven't included here is vitamin D, because it is definitely essential. But if we look at vitamin C, you'll notice a lot of people now starting to boost up their vitamin C. Zinc, this is the repair and defense. We're looking at healthy fats. And healthy fats are like nuts, seeds, and avocados, which we'll see on the next page. These help with hormone balance, nervous system, and helping us feel a bit more stable and a bit more resilient. And then proteins really support stability, particularly around blood sugar regulation, and keeping our overall cellular function at its optimal. So just here I've included and I've broken it down. So we got certain foods, particularly. So if we're going for nutrition, not through supplementation, but through our food, we're looking at for immune support and strengthening digestion and the gut lining, which is integral. We're looking at the pumpkins, sweet potato, carrots, beetroot, parsnips, and turnips. And isn't it ironic that I absolutely love this time of year, because I'm very much a fan of root vegetables, and going into autumn allows me to really embrace and utilize those autumn seasonal fruit vegetables. And then obviously everything we always need high of is our wonderful greens. You know, they're packed with vitamin C, iron, and antioxidants, and they support the immune. And we can look at things like kale, silver beet, spinach, broccoli, and Brussels sprouts. And there's many a way that we can utilize these greens and make it easier, particularly if you're not a fan of greens. And if you need some support with that later on of how to have them in different ways, certainly connect. And then we're looking at, you know, antiviral, antibacterial things to reduce inflammation and boost the immune is our staples like garlic, ginger, turmeric, and onion. And if you're not paying for fresh turmeric, you know, you can use really good quality turmeric powder for that. And then the antivirals and antibacterial foods is like what we already know is yogurts, kefir, bone broth, and slow cooked food. But bear in mind, if you're going to do slow cook and you've got allergies and high histamine, this is something that you like the ferment and the slow cook. This particular area might not be where you're at this moment, and just maybe like to focus on what's above at that stage. So while food is foundational for health, sometimes our body needs a little bit extra support, and especially during seasonal transitions. And, you know, like I know for myself going through the transition, and particularly with menopause, is knowing, because my body no longer has those hormones, and it needs additional support like collagen and omegas to help with brain and cardiovascular. And then you're looking at turmeric. So I'm already incorporating those in my diet. And we spoke about before on the other page with the turmeric and zinc, but you may be able to take a probiotic. Now, I know people love probiotics and they're real fans, but please, can I ask that if you do have allergies, if you have skin sensitivities, sinus issues, it is important that you might investigate further and do a stool test, because depending on the strains of bacteria, we can have not only not good strains of bacteria, but we can have high amount of bacteria, even the good ones, that can lead to toxicity within the body. And so adding another probiotic to that colony and not getting the need, definitely consult a specialist in regards to that. We've just had that experience firsthand with our daughter, and I was so thankful that I went and did the stool testing, because we realized she could not have a standard probiotic. And we used to see symptoms, and you're thinking that the probiotic is what everyone needs, right? So just remember that with supplements, they are also going to be interim, short term. They are never, ever, ever used for long term. And I think sometimes with clinical doctors, nutritionists, naturopaths, they might suggest or recommend certain supplementation for their clients, but they're not giving them a time frame. And sometimes a lot of people are staying on supplementation too long, that it can cause disruption. So I'm not warding against supplementing, but we've got to do so with intention and mindfulness. And so supplements can fill those gaps that our diet can't provide. So, we might do it for a month or two just to support the body and then allow the body to do what it's designed to do. So it can balance energy and mood. It can help the nervous system as well. And we can use specific supplements to target particular needs. And I'm a huge fan of doTERRA supplements. So if you're wanting to know at another stage, certainly book in a consult. I'd love to support you there. But for me, their electrolytes particularly is a staple in our house. So this helps with not only hydration, but the right type of hydration, the right type of, with the BOAB in it, it basically acts like almost like chia seeds, or if you think aloe, they can go right in. They're slow absorbing and they go right into the cell. Too often when we feel we are dehydrated, we're thinking it's because we're thirsty or our skin's dry, or we might be thinking we just have more water. But especially here in South Australia, we have got terrible water system. So filtered is always recommended, but also the fact that when you feel dehydrated, you should be looking forward to something like an electrolyte, where it even can give those essential minerals that we are lacking now in our food because of soil and climate changes. And then I was just even thinking of, like, if I look at myself with my turmeric and my omega-3s and my electrolyte, keeping it simple. But then I have a stick, which is like a lavender piece. doTERRA have it's almost like, how can I put it? It's a stick. It's like solid coconut oil with a blend of oils that, like, literally you can apply to the skin, because whilst we spend, and I think we're so hyper-focused on supporting our physical needs, we're not also then thinking, what does our emotional needs need too? And I think this is really important. So using the right tools and supplements can make a difference, and it kind of just helps with that preparation. And something that I love talking about is all things essential oils. My Ambido functional fragrance, we were all about functional fragrances, meaning therapeutic. And, this is an oil, the top one, that I apply every single day without fail. As I get out the shower, I just either put a couple of drops on my wet skin and just apply it over, or with a bit of carrier oil. As we're getting into the cooler months, we might change out what type of carrier oil that we do that with. But I love doing this because it's not adding to my routine. It's not something I can remember. It's literally, I've gone straight out the shower and it's right there. It's makes it so much easier to do. And what frankincense can support with is immune function and nervous system, and prevention and proactivity in other areas. And I'm really into proactive health with all things women related, with breast health as well. And so if we look at other essential oils, I've only put a couple here, and these are common ones that I feel are so on point with seasonal. There's many others that can probably do the same, or can be more targeted individually. But if we're looking at a generalized to support the whole family's needs, these are the ones that I would have as staple in my first aid toolkit. And doTERRA do a blend On Guard, which is our immune defense. And this is really good. I put it in my, my multi-purpose spray. I just, with water, vinegar, and a bit of essential oils. And so I'm, the first line of defense, whether it's in our washing as well, we're kind of doing that. Perhaps they have beadlets with this On Guard in, so particularly as we're coming into these months with kids at school, this is a great way to keep them. Or immunity apples, where you soak your apples a little bit in this blend, is really beneficial. It's something that a lot of people do in winter, but why not start now? And then another wonderful oil is turmeric. So if you don't have turmeric capsules, the turmeric oil is really good. You can get from your local health food shop some veggie caps and put some essential oils in there. Or I sometimes open up my little supplement powder ones and add a few drops and put it back. Or you could even just simply use it in your cooking. And these blends that I'm talking about are all food grade essential oils that are on this list. Okay, so they can be digested. The bottle actually says, particularly if you get doTERRA, there will be other, if you use other brands, you really need to look for this, because I would not be recommending unless it does say that it's food grade. So when we look at turmeric oil, we're looking at it supporting inflammation and cellular support and helping the body recover and stay resilient. And easier, our respiratory blend, help with lung function, breathing, all things getting us ready for the changes in the weather. And really good because transitional time within weather, particularly with people who are susceptible to allergies or respiratory discomforts, could be supported by utilizing now in this transitional stage a respiratory blend. So these can be used in a diffuser, inhaled, applied topically, and they're a natural way to enhance resilience and well-being through the season. So routines don't have to be complicated, and they don't have to add pressure to your life. And it's certainly not about doing more. And I think the best way to develop a good habit is being intentional with the choice and make it woven into what you're already existing doing. And so by adding something like a little step, you can create consistency and support the body and the nervous system without feeling overwhelmed. Because we don't want to attach shame or guilt if we haven't done something. And it's not about being very fixed, because I do think that when we do things, we need to have intention behind it, because the intention we put in it will ensure of how the body receives it too. So just here, if you've had a look already, simply if you're having a cup of water near your bed with a drop of lemon oil. I always have my lemon oil near my bed, like that one near there, so I can do that. Or you might, if you've got like the Easy Air or a respiratory blend, you don't even have to, like as soon as you get up, if you just have a real inhale and do like a box, just one, start small. And any oil that you've got there, just apply it. So, and then you get up out of bed, kind of thing. And like for me, my daily routine also, as I mentioned before, is aromatically dressing as soon as I get out the bed, out the shower. And I only use, and it's not for everyone, but I only use a carrier oil with a few essential oils, and that does my face cleanse and my moisturizer. I even sometimes put it on the ends of my hair if they're feeling a bit dry. So I'm already it's part of my day. It's nothing more than what I would have already had to have done already. And just having those nourishing meals and getting as much sunlight exposure as we can do. I think that's the hardest thing. So if you're not doing that consistently, be sure to add that vitamin D. And if we look at the evening, we're looking at diffusing, helping the body slow down. That's a really cool thing to do, is teaching the body how to slow down and reflect and journaling. And a lot of people do that when they have it near their bed. So adjustment to movement and workload. So, as the days get shorter in autumn, our bodies respond naturally to the changing light. So melatonin, our sleep hormone, starts to increase and it encourages us to rest more. At the same time, serotonin helps regulate our moods, can dip slightly. So we might just notice we're a little bit hypersensitive. We feel a little bit more not ourselves, and this is quite normal as the body's conserving its energy. And understand the shifts are helping to work with our body rather than against it. Which leads on to our emotion and nervous system preparation, a season for letting go. And I love that. And for those that watch this, either the replay or watch live now, if you just send or put in the chat, letting go, I can certainly send you a recipe for essential oil blend you can make up your own roller that really will support this season. But there's moments that are often looked, and there's an aha season, and I feel like autumn naturally invites us to turn inward and reflect. And I like to ask you just to consider, what are you holding on from summer? And this is something that we don't ask ourselves. And this is part of the problem, is we're taking forward from then into the next season. And we need to think, what am I being invited to release? So these questions aren't about judgment or pressure. They're about just having an awareness and knowing we've got choices as well. And so taking a moment to notice, like, what thoughts, habits, emotions are we quite needing possibly or ready to let go of, and what no longer serves the body, mind, or the energy as you move into this slower season. And so when we do this, when we create space, we then allow for renewal. We support rest and resilience. And we not only help the emotional body, but we help the physical in this process too. So if we look at somatic support, which is something I'm quite passionate, these are interventional tools, and they can really make a difference and help you feel more grounded and safe. And, I have a package, somatic foundations, because to me, they're the primary, the bases, it's laying those foundational blocks. And then us doing that, then we can support others, or, by us being more regulated and feel safe within, it just naturally supports the whole family around. So I feel like everyone needs to have those foundational tools in their toolbox. But at times we don't know quite how to do it, or we feel like we just need that additional support. And so somatic body-based therapies help us tune into physical sensations and release tension. And the modalities that I practice in, like root cause therapy, it's more identifying patterns and beliefs that we might be holding on and allowing us to gently shift what no longer serves. Functional meditation is a great way of cultivating awareness, to building capacity. We have intentional meditations for the transition periods as well that we do. And just overall emotional wellness practices, and things like frequency therapy is a great tool as well. So if you're feeling like you're wanting additional support, these might be some things you may want to look at later on. So autumn is your opportunity to prepare, not repair. And I'm very much into prevention and proactivity. So small steps now, like nourishing the body, regulating the nervous system, and supporting the immune system, is integral. So it's not about doing more, it's about doing what matters consistently so your body, mind, and energy are supported every day. So when we begin to listen to the body early, we don't have to wait for it to speak loudly. So, as a way going forward, you will get a workbook sent either the next day or the day after, with all the highlights of what we've discussed in this webinar that will be sent. And it will also have our exclusive offers for all those that have watched and registered. So, those that have watched and registered, you'll be able to receive 30% off all our Soul Roots or Barossa Healing Space therapy services. We do those online. So you can be in the comfort of your own house and own safe place. And you can also book in a free wellness consultation. Perhaps you've been looking into wanting to have essential oils in your home, or you like to know how to get the oils that we've mentioned, or wanting to know, what ones are personalized to your needs. Book in one of our free consults. When you book in a free consult, we also do a bioresonance scan with that. And any of our therapy services do come included with frequency therapy as well. So thanks very much for joining us. And if you're needing to connect with us, here are all our socials and website, email address, and just be sure to reach out if you've got any questions and you want to explore anything. And remember, your workbook and all exclusive offers will be sent via email so that you can revisit. And it's been a pleasure sharing this time with you. And here's to a grounded, resilient, and nourishing autumn.